Hey tankers, this is episode 13 of my Road to Unicum series. In the previous episode, we looked at the IS-3 in a Tier 9 battle, and today we're going to look at the same tank, but in two Tier 10 battles, because many of you had asked about that in the comments in the video. So, if you remember back in episode 5, I played a Tier 8 tank in a Tier 10 battle, the Russian T-44 medium tank from this side, so it's kind of interesting to compare. And like the T-44, I don't want to go out onto that eastern peninsula because that's brawler land, very close range fighting, and I don't have the armor nor the aim time to stand up against the bigger tanks. And also, I don't want to, frankly, get in the way of our friendly Tier 9s and 10s because it's going to get pretty crowded, especially with as many tanks that have gone that way. And I can't go or shouldn't go to the one line because that requires good gun depression, or at least the ability to snapshot because there is hill fighting there. So I stay in the middle section here. I know I've got a 251 nearby, so any tanks that come out in mid are going to get spotted by him. Now, unfortunately, I take a blind shot in the gap, hoping to catch that light tank, and I miss a golden opportunity to put a shell through that T-57. And I really should have waited instead of blind shotting the light tank because I saw a tree fall, so I know there's at least one other tank here with the 1390. All right, so second heavy tank has been spotted. So there's a 113, that's a Tier 10 tank, as well as a T-34. And as soon as my reload's up, you can see the 113 is firing across the water, so that's an easy penetration in the side of his turret. And I'm going to stay behind this big rock here to stay already safe. There are 3 arties on the map. And I decided to flip around to the other side of this rock since I fired on the 113 and I don't want to just poke out from the same spot, because most likely he's going to catch me before I catch him. The 251 ends up moving to the same gap, so I know the 113 is looking this way, but he fires, and in between his reload I hustle forward to try to get a shot on him before he reaches hard cover, but I don't get there in time. And then I need to back up because I don't want to risk getting clicked by the 3 arties. The 251 is making the run up the east side of the railroad line, so if he gets up far enough, he's going to be able to spot and hopefully kill or at least preoccupy their arties and kind of neutralize them. The 113 is again looking out across the water, so that's an easy flanking shot. And I'm just hoping he's not going to be looking this way, but you can see I still have him lit, so his gun's now facing in this direction, and I'm not going to be able to get one of these easy flanking shots. And his turret traverse is fast enough. You can see his gun keeps pointing over. It's swinging over faster than I'll be able to snapshot him, but he chases me and takes a bad shot. So, because he's chasing me around the edge, that gives me the first shot advantage, and I'm backing up along the rocks. Now, the 251 just killed one of their arties and has the other 2 spotted, so they're kind of neutralized. And so, while it looks like he should have arty support, in reality he's not, and I'm baiting him by backing up along these rocks. Again, I get the first shot opportunities. He comes around the corner, and even though this looks on paper like a 1 versus 1, it's really a 1 versus N because our friendly arties have easy shots on him. I don't go face hug him. If he were a lower tier tank, I'd think about it, but his armor is strong enough that if I'm face hugging him, I don't have the gun depression to shoot down on him, and I'm not going to be able to penetrate his turret easily. All right, and then the arty finishes him off. And notice, since I was backing up and drawing him into this open space, I was, protected by hard cover from the waffle. Again, it's important not to kind of expose myself to multiple lines of fire. There is an IS-4, but he's a pretty hard target, and with silver ammo, I'm going to have a pretty difficult time trying to penetrate him. And I noticed the 251 is approaching the waffle, and I was hoping he'd be able to flank him. But the waffle fires, and he's got a pretty lengthy reload, so I'm hoping to catch the waffle in between his reload. I take a shot, which misses, and this isn't really, the Soviet heavy tanks aren't really built for long-range sniping, so I miss, and unfortunately the process takes too long, and I eat a shot from the waffle, so I kind of underestimated his reload time there. But the good news is, despite I'm one-shottable, I'm protected fully by hard cover here. And all I need to do is keep this waffle lit because, again, this isn't a 1 versus 1 scenario. I've got arty support, and our arties take out the waffle. They're all on the eastern side of the map, so this gives me the freedom to push up on the west side of the rail, kind of staying below the crest or staying in the ditch so I won't be spotted. And I do need to show a sense of urgency here. Obviously, while my gun has very good Tier 8 silver penetration of a 226, some of these other tanks, like especially the Mouse, is very well armored. And I want to come up and get flanking shots while I can. Now I'm going to make a mistake here in terms of my approach line. In a moment I'm kind of going to swing around the southern part of the flag, and you can see the Jagdtiger is just on the other side of the flag, and the mouse is now going to be south of me. So I take a shot here on the mouse because his turret is going to be facing to the side. But unfortunately, I probably should have aimed lower at the rear of his hull, and even though I try to kind of point my pike nose at him there, I get nailed, and I could have been one shot, and that really was a poor decision on my part, because you're going to see here in a moment the T-62A is going to die. But beyond that, the Jagdtiger, the last time I knew he was spotted, he was just here to the east of me, and if he had come around into their cap, then I would have been squashed between the two tanks and would have died almost certainly. The Jagdtiger pushes out and kills our T-62, and so while we do have a 5-2 tank advantage, it is a little bit deceptive because their tanks are both at very high health, and if they take the tier 8s out on our side, then our arties are going to be stuck facing these two tanks by themselves. Now luckily, one of our arties gets a nice shot on the Jagdtiger and tracks him, and then I'm able to move up behind the second arty fire. And this is kind of funny. I was going to come up and see if I could aim down on the drive wheel, but the gun depression is pretty poor, and so I just say screw it, I'm just going to go ahead and fire and stay physically behind the Jagdtiger. Now the only thing I'm a little bit anxious about is that since I only have 5 hit points, if our arty fires on the Jagdtiger, any splash damage will kill me. Anything that touches me will kill me. So I'm staying alongside the Jagdtiger since he doesn't have a turret. There's nothing he can do about it. And thankfully, one of our arties lands a nice shot. I think that our arties probably should have moved up further to the north, at least at this point. They should have. Okay, the BC-155. He was the first of the arties to move earlier into a lane which provided him east-west fire, and he's moving again. And then obviously the J Panther and I pick opposite sides to try to get behind the mouse, and the J Panther polishes them off. So it ends up that the 2 tier 8s in this battle ended up doing a good chunk of damage, and also staying alive and helping support our arty. So here's the second battle, same map, tier 10 again, and as I said before, I'm going to kind of play the middle of the map here, and this is going to be helped by the fact that we've got several mediums that are going to be pushing up along the east side of the rail, so those guys can be my eyes since I really have pretty crappy view range in this tank, and I'm going to lose the vision control game. This American autoloader is pushing up through the middle of the town, so I get the first shot advantage there, and it's okay that I'm lit. There is one arty, but I can kind of hang out behind these rocks and use this hard cover. And then the autoloader he continues to push up here in a moment, so I go ahead and move up along the other side of these rocks here, see if I can get another shot at him, and he breaks through a building, which was a mistake, and then I get a second shot, and the 103 polishes him off. There's a waffle that's been spotted. He doesn't have a shot on me because of this intervening rock, and oddly he makes the decision to rush forward. And as a bottom tier tank, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for, is are there particular tanks that I can pick off because they're being over aggressive. So he's fixated on the T-44, so this allows me a quick shot into his huge bat-like turret. And I could switch here over to HE since at this close of a range that's pretty much a guaranteed hit, but I wasn't sure how long this waffle was going to live, so I just stick with the regular AP ammo. And you can see the tanks just on the other side of the water. There's the Patton there, so I don't want to move too far out from behind these rocks. And you can see after taking the shot, I move back behind the hardcover, and the Patton finishes off our Patton. Or sorry, one of their E5s, your American Heavies, finishes off our Patton. Alright, spotted again, and there is still their arty at play. So, there's a shot here on the E100. I'm going to hang out behind this rock. He's blind. He can't see me all the way over here. They don't have any other tanks nearby that can spot me. And the E100 is at a bit of a vertical and horizontal incline for me. So, if his turret's turned sideways, I'll try to hit that. I was aiming toward the rear hull, but actually the better spot I should have been aiming is at where he was positioned. The circular hatch on the back of the turret, that's the softest spot from the rear. But as he backs up, he's at a perfect flanking position for me, flanking fire. So I'm aiming just below the side skirt, and I catch him with a pair of penetrating shots for about 800 damage. And obviously this is important, that E100 has a nasty gun. If you're wondering about the whole western side of the map, I've been keeping an eye there, and I know that we're getting pushed hard. The western flank is folded, but I opt not to push up and support this earlier for the simple reason that there's nothing that I can do to stop this advance. If I put myself into a position of trying to delay them, I'm just going to get smashed, and I know they have to come up over this rail, which is going to give me opportunities to get shots like that when they're not expecting it. I've been spotted, and I can't push up over the rails. I'm hoping that some of their other tanks will come up over the railing, but then I take a shot from the rear, so to the north of me is a British heavy that hasn't been spotted, and so I can't actually back up any further behind that rock, because then I'll give him another shot. And what I'm doing here is just trying to stay alive for a while and buy time for my friendly tanks who are pushing their cap to finish off their opponents. I'm just acting as a time delay here and trying to add in some additional damage, and there I get tracked by the British heavy and then finished off by the JPE 100. We do win the battle, and I deal again over 3,000 damage just by being patient and just stretching out my time to live. Per the last poll, the next tank we're going to review is the IS-8, but before that we're going to take a look at a T-62 trolling E-100s. Take care.